Hi, I'm Angela Theresa Collins, and I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. My acting, by the way, I do focus on law of attraction, method acting, of course. I have been also in some films and television, so I can tell you a bit about that. I've trained in both. Theater is my strongest, of course, training. And if you need to contact me, of course, you can contact me here in PM, or you can write me about acting classes. That's ACT_ATCOLLINS@yahoo.com. Monologues. Number one, who are you talking to? You have to know who you're speaking to. And nobody in a play or a film or anywhere there's a script, the writer will tell you this, nobody speaks without a need to speak. You have something you need to say to a certain person, to a certain group. True monologues are actually rare. You can find them. True monologue is like talking to yourself, but nobody really is usually talking to themselves unless they have either that personality disorder or they're just trying to answer something, because you are talking to somebody. Like you're saying, well, when I see my boyfriend, I'm going to say this and this to him, and you may do that out loud in your room, may not, but even if you do, that's what we do. We practice conversations ahead of time in real life. It's really, really unlikely you'll ever have a true monologue unless you need an answer. And anybody who's speaking out loud, as I am, is seeking something. I'm seeking students. If you say something, even in a crowd, you're seeking attention, you're seeking to be involved. So that's true of your character. Now, this goes for songs as well. If you're doing a musical, what we ask you to do, especially if you're going to do a musical, even if you are a singer, start doing originally, especially helps with memorizing the words anyways, your song as a monologue, a spoken monologue. Who are you talking to? Why do they need to know this information now? And go from there. And there has to be something when you're coming to drama, or comedy for that matter, there's something at stake. I have to say this now or it will not be said. I have to say this now to save their life. You have a goal. Your goal is to make them come your way, do what you're bidding, whatever it may be, depending on the monologue and the play. You can make up your own situations in some monologues. There's some really good books for monologues, I'll tell you, that are great to use if you don't want to use necessarily a play, which is great to do too, because sometimes you have to cut the plays up because there's characters. Very few plays are just monologue, but they are talking to somebody. There's a book called Nom. It was actually written, the author went to people that did these jobs, and it's just them speaking. So in a case like that, as I was just saying, true monologue, they are speaking to the author of the book. You can use that as your scenario when you're doing the monologue for an audition. But a stronger choice, always make a stronger choice. The strongest choice you can. Choose something stronger. If you're doing that, by the way, number one rule in an audition, don't look straight at them, because as Elizabeth Dillon used to say at HB Studios, they might be picking their nose, or they might throw you off because of how they're looking at you. They also feel maybe uncomfortable. And unless you're playing a serial killer, never stare at anybody when you're talking to them and saying stuff like this, because that's a serial killer stare. Unless you're playing a serial killer, because a serial killer will look straight at you. Never do this to the person you're auditioning for, because you can scare them. Look just above their heads. You can pick the stare or look off a little bit to the side, still they can see your face. But these are the rules that make people not want to call the police on you. Actors can be crazy, so don't come across as crazy before the audition, and then when you go into it, if you're playing that sort of person. Crazy people don't think they're crazy, and evil people do not think they're evil. These are just short little rules I'll repeat to you many times. They believe they're justified in what they're saying because they have a reason. Why are they saying this? Who are they speaking to? And if you're talking to, let's say, a hitman, you're playing a hitman. And who is he speaking to? He's speaking to the man who just arrested him or the judge. So how is that monologue going to be different? If you're speaking to the man who you're about to kill and telling him about your life, for whatever reason you would be doing that as a hitman, that would be a different monologue and a different approach than if you're saying the same thing to the man who just arrested you and you're on death row. There's a book, Spoon River Anthology. It's a great book for monologues because it's just different life stories of these people in Spoon River. I did a really great one in that one. And that's another one where you get to choose who you're speaking to. So if you're doing, and there's monologues from plays that are like that too. You can pick it different than what the play says. So monologue from a play also called Slow Dance on the Killing Ground. Very great if you're a young woman, about 19 years old. So when you're doing the audition in an audition room, you can look just above the head of like the person auditioning you, or if there's just one person or two people and they're not even in there, you can look right beside them at where you and get your eyes in the right place. This is just for your physical thing. The man's up there on the ladder, and don't go too high. Don't go like way up here. You'd want to go kind of eye level, but like a little bit higher. And then for the kid, like, where is he? Is he sitting on the ground? So don't look at the ground, but like, let's say, look a little lower, because his head would be up a little. You know, don't use chairs. Don't talk to empty chairs. That's just a no-no. I see actors do it. Some people go through auditions doing that a lot. Do not talk to empty chairs. Just don't. So make sure your eye is, don't go too far away unless it's needed. If you're talking to somebody in another room and it's a quick one, I would say, yeah, definitely look the other way, because we talk to people in other rooms too. Remember that as an acting thing. You'll say, yes, I'll be down in a minute. You don't have to do everything right in the same room. Again, also no staring unless you're a serial killer and there's a need to. And don't stare right into the eyes of the auditioners. It doesn't make you cooler. It doesn't make you a better actor. In fact, sometimes it makes you feel like a stalker to the person auditioning you. Person's person. That's a mistake some people say, unless you're directly told to do that. Now, on TV auditions, film commercials, you will have a reader sometimes right beside a camera, especially commercials, and you do look at that reader. I would say, again, don't stare, but you look at that, or just above the camera. Looking right into the lens can be a little weird, unless, again, it's called for in the script. That's commercial work, though. That would be just speaking to them, and you're speaking to that person. So I would say, just put it above the head of the person you're auditioning for. That's it. Don't talk to empty chairs. If you want somebody sitting in front of you, then just you sit in the chair and you look where their head would be if they were in a chair in front of you. Make the chair invisible too. Well, not invisible, but you know, don't put a chair there. It's a rookie mistake. Just don't do it. You don't have to. Unless absolutely somebody tells you to do that, a casting director, but they shouldn't be telling you to do that. This is the first part of the lesson that I'm giving you here. But we'll follow whatever you want when it comes to acting coaching, and love to talk to you soon. There's a lot more into the world of acting than you ever knew, isn't there? See? But send me an email, which I gave you the address, act_atcollins@yahoo.com. You can also PM me here on this page. I answer pretty much anything about acting. Well, this is about acting. And even song presentation. I aim to be yourself and be your type, and we'll talk more about that too. Bye-bye.